And we're here with Connor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. And I know why you're doing so well. You are fresh off of a fun trip. Was it Austin and then New Orleans? How was the trip?
Evan, it was hot. It was extremely hot, very muggy. It goes from very muggy in New Orleans to, a dry heat, as I say in Austin, which sounds good. But if you're standing waiting for barbecue in 105-degree weather, It's hot as hell. So, but all things considered, it was a fantastic time. Whole bunch of food. I'm going to be eating salad for the next year.
I was going to say, I saw the pictures. You're going to have to go on a little bit of a
exactly.
paleo diet the next week.
Exactly. Yes. So, but great time. Good to unwind before hopefully the off season starts picking up a little bit here over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully.
And the barbecue, by the way, waiting in that line must have been very worth it because that barbecue looked insane. And that's the heart of barbecue land.
Yes, Austin. Exactly. You can't go wrong with any brisket, anything over there. So, no, unfortunately, I don't think Boston can compare. So, yes, if you want to get good barbecue, go down to Texas.
Go up to Boston. That's really where the barbecue is. You know, when the Dropkick Murphys wrote shipping up to Boston, they were talking about shipping up to Boston for barbecue. People forget that.
There was going to be barbecue, but it was too many. So it would have been too tough to have it be a catchy jingle. So
it would have been shourehorned in. It wouldn't have made a lot of sense.
It wouldn't have worked.
So
Yeah,
it was inferred though. I mean, it was inferred.
Exactly.
True Bostonians know that that's what they were talking about. I was also in Maine this weekend, just for 2 days, but it was nice. Nice beach. Lobster rolls were terrific. Maybe the seafood's more New England's wheelhouse. I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
A little more in there, but very fun. Gunkwit and Old Orchards, very nice places. But we were not the only ones on trips, Connor. We were not the only ones out on a trip because a lot of Bruins and former Bruins were over in Italy for Tuukka Rask and his. They were renewing vows. Or was it the actual wedding? I thought I saw it was renewing vows.
I think I saw that. I wouldn't also be surprised. I believe they got married I think they were technically married during COVID. So maybe it was, they got that done. And then they had a bigger party later on, which I've seen a couple people do, obviously, because a bit tough back in 2020, 2021 around that time. So I believe that's kind of what it was. All right, we're finally past it. We get an actual celebration and going to Italy. Not too bad. Worth the wait, I would assume.
Yeah, that was looked very worth it. Very nice. It's funny. All the Bruins were going over to Italy, and I kept seeing on their stories, and I was like, "Do they all plan a trip to? What's the reasoning for this?" And then obviously we saw Tuukka dancing on the dance floor. By the way, no one looks like they're enjoying post hockey life more than Tuukka Rask. He looks like he's having an absolute ball. Yes, 100%. Drinking beers in the luxury boxes with the different teams that come in and going dancing around, and I just it's good to see. It's good to see. But there was others. There was Milan Lucic and Brad Marchand and Charlie McAvoy and Torrey Krug and Patrice Bergeron and Sean Thornton and David Pastrnak. And I believe I saw John Moore in there.
Oh, really?
As well.
Yeah.
I thought I did. Maybe I could be totally wrong. I think it was Torrey Krug's wife posted on Instagram a story, and I thought I saw John Moore in it. So who knows? But I do think it was him because they were all very close with him. But looked like a blast. And then for the content and the memes, A+. Can't get
Listen, we're in the dark days of the off season, Evan. We're in the part where we'll take any sort of content, any sort of news, anything. So if you see a bunch of Bruins dancing around Italy on a boat, gold mine. That's all you need.
That's it. It's if Bergeron and Krejci come back, it was the Italy trip. And by the way, David Pastrnak's making a real case for himself for assistant general manager. Yeah, the playing with Krejci over in the Czech. And now you've got this Italy trip, and Pastrnak was on both. So if Krejci comes back, which we'll get to later in this episode, you can sit here and thank David Pastrnak because clearly he has some sort of big effect on the whole operation.
And don't forget, too, if we want to get a bigger picture of these things, you watch some of that video. I don't know about you, but it looks like Brad Marchand's hips are doing pretty well because man's jumping up and down. I think Charlie McAvoy was fist bumping, too. So everyone seems to be on the road to recovery. I'm not saying they're going to be ready in training camp, but I'm just saying it looks pretty good for now. If
you can raise the roof, you can play hockey.
Of course, yes. Yeah. People know this.
What's funny is, imagine if there was a video, and obviously there was not, but imagine if there was a video where, Charlie McAvoy's going like this, and all of a sudden you see him and then the camera pans away,
That would be very funny if you just did that just to have people lose their shit especially at this point of the off season. It would be a dastardly move, but I would kind of appreciate, I would respect it.
I would too. Like have fun with that, or like Marchand's dancing around that and just like keels over, or he's got like a cane.
He has like a waka. He has like a waka with the tennis balls on it. Shipped one in from Lake Como.
Exactly. Have some fun with it. But anyways, looked like a very fun trip. One thing, Milan Lucic was there, and I think this, ever since Lucic left Boston, the whole thing has been, when's he coming back? The Bruins need Luch again. Bruins aren't the Bruins without Luch. And now with the Flames being in their situation, there's people kind of starting the whole Milan Lucic should come back thing. And as fun of a story as it would be, because like obviously Lucic was a great Bruin for a certain amount of time. No one's debating that. But you look at where he'd fit now, right? Big cap hit, pretty slow. Montgomery plays fast. You've got a fair amount of veterans you're paying a lot of money for who are not at breakneck speed. No real reason for it. There's not really. And it's sad because it would be cool, but probably not worth it.
Yeah. If it was like, he was if he was like a free agent, you want to bring him back for a year just to see if maybe he's still a little bit of gas left in the tank, I'm all for it. But I think when you look at that contract and what you have to take on for and the expectations, I just feel it would be like just disappointing, right? Because I feel like Bruins fans would think it's the old Lucic. And again, he had a pretty solid year last year, and I think he's done a good job at kind of adopting his game to kind of the faster style of play while still being that kind of physical equalizer. So credit to him for that. But I also feel like just Bruins fans would want to go back in the vault and look at the old highlights. If he's still kind of just not that 30 goal, steam train kind of player. It's almost like, you watch like a movie as a kid and you're really excited, and then you watch it like 10 years later and you're like, oh, it's like, the Power Rangers movie doesn't hit 2022 like it did in 98. Let me tell you.
The Wiggles movie, it doesn't exactly, do the same.
Yeah.
Captain Feathersword's just not hitting the same way it used to.
It doesn't hit quite the same way. So again, yeah, I agree, Evan, where I think if it was a cheap deal or a flyer and you wanted him back here and get the whole band back together, it would be a lot of fun. Only he was a great Bruin. I apparently talked to people in the media who worked with him. It's great to work with. He apparently has like an encyclopedia knowledge of like random stats that he'll just like go like in his head, go through like the Rolodex and remember like the plus minus of one game back in like November of 2014 or what have you. So interesting guy, great player. But yeah, in terms of just the realistic aspects of it with the contract and expectations where he'd fit in the lineup, it just doesn't work out right now. Who knows? Maybe if when his contract expires and he wants to come back for a year, it could be a situation down the road, but still you always have to worry about any of those kind of power forward wingers and what their kind of shelf life is and how much risk you want to have doling out money to a player like that.
It is sad because he would be terrific for content. Like that's the one thing, absolutely. Like insight and comments. And he was never one. From what I remember, again, I didn't cover him when he was here. I was very young when he was here.
You're dropping the Wiggles references, man. I mean, goddamn.
It's just making me sound like I'm a little kid. But he was always insightful and good for quotes. And you see out in Calgary, right? He's never afraid to speak his mind. So would be cool, but really not realistic. It's just not realistic. But when we're talking realistic things and good things, our friends over at Athletic Greens, a product I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 because I wanted better gut health and more energy. I don't drink coffee or use caffeine because I wanted healthier, natural energy. And I was looking for it for a long time, and AG1 has been providing it in droves. Doesn't taste like it's super healthy or anything either. That mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to each and every morning. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75. Yes, 75 high quality vitamins. I can't count it with my fingers even. High quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. So this week when you are, just cleansing yourself.
Detoxing from a week of gumbo and brisket. Yeah, it's actually Athletic Greens sounds like a great thing.
This is perfect for you. Contains less than a gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting really good. This all supports better sleep quality and mental clarity. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That is it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and five free travel packs with that first purchase. 5, count them 5. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Bruins. Again, athleticgreens.com/Bruins to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So, we talked Lucic for a bit there, which I didn't expect to last week, but here we are. But another name that I forgot about, to be totally honest with you, and this name came across my radar on Twitter last week, and I was like, oh my God, he's still available, is Nazem Kadri. He's still out there because, as you know, Connor, you've covered more free agencies than I certainly have. Day 1 and 2 come, the lead up comes to it and you're all psyched up for it. You're looking at everybody. Day 1 happens, big signings, day 2. And then it kind of just dissipates. It's kind of like after Christmas when there's the big lead up and then Christmas comes and then like, that's it. No more Christmas. Free agency is kind of the same way. And Kadri's still out there. Nazem Kadri is still looking for a new team. And with a lot of teams with high salary caps, it's hard to sign him because given his age and how just incredible his last year was, but it didn't line up with his other years, he's a kind of an anomaly. And Greg Wyshynski of ESPN last week wrote a story about teams that would be suitors for Nazem Kadri, and he listed the Bruins. And it's funny because I feel like we've written that off for a long time, given the fact that we figured Krejci and Bergeron would definitely be coming back. And it still looks like it probably will happen. We'll get to that in a little bit. But if they did clear space, it would take a lot to clear space for Kadri. But if this waiting game worked, and let's say Nazem Kadri said, look, I'm not going to get a long-term high-paying deal. I'm going to shoot for more of a 3-year deal, potentially. And this is not reporting. This is just me speculating. 3 years at $7 million. Even then, you're going to have to clear a ton of space. But I think that's more palatable for teams as well as the Bruins if they wanted to do that. Because if you're still trying to contend for a cup, Kadri follows that. I still don't know how you clear all that cap space. Also, like Krejci wouldn't be returning in that situation. There's also a chance Bergeron wants similar money to Kadri, at least maybe in incentives too. So suddenly you're spending a lot of money on Kadri and Bergeron, which could pay off. But what do you think? I mean, do you think they should do this? They should go for it?
I mean, I still think Krejci is plan A in terms of what they want to do there with the 2C spot. I think it's still the most realistic option. But I will say if Kadri's still available out there as a contingency plan, I think the fact that he's still on the market, that, as you said, there's a lot of players that have already signed. There's a lot of teams already up against the cap space. You look at other guys who've waited too long to sign, like John Klingberg, who fired his agent. I'm assuming he's not very happy about being like, hey, Dallas, pay me. All right, I'm going to hit the free agency. And he signs a 1-year deal. Not exactly what you want. So if the Bruins are pursuing other options, if Krejci doesn't pan out, at the very least, having Kadri still kind of dangling out there and probably willing to take a shorter term deal, which I think was kind of the main roadblock in terms of what people were worried about was signing a guy like Kadri, who's, what is he, 29 right now, I think?
Almost 30, I think.
Yeah, almost 30. Yeah, I think maybe he'll be 30 by the start of training camp. So if you can sign him to like a 3-year deal at 7.5 or something like that, which is a bit of a drop from what I remember when it first came out right before free agency, people were saying that he was going to get 8.5, 9.5, something like that, which if you're the Bruins are automatically takes you out. Yeah. Now, granted, it's a 3-year, $21 million contract. You still have to move out a ton of cap room to accommodate that. So it's almost like if Krejci doesn't pan out, you do have an option, but you're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops in order to do it. But that being said, if the end result is getting a guy like Kadri, who, again, I think for a 3-year span falls right in line with what you're looking for out of that 2C spot, and kind of falls in line with what you're looking for in this win now window they're trying to maximize right now, it makes plenty of sense. It's just getting the cap to work in that matter. So is it a good fallback option? Absolutely. It's just, I imagine they still view Krejci as the number one option, not only because of the fact there's the familiarity. There's him working with Pastrnak and probably Taylor Hall, but also you can manage that money a lot more effectively as a 35 plus year old player where you can put a lot of those bonuses into next year. So I still imagine that's the priority right now. But the fact that at least the Bruins, if they're looking beyond Krejci, have at least a fallback option there. It's not like if Krejci's like changes his mind, you're like, all right, it's going to be Jack Studnicka at 2C, I guess, right? Like, it's not like
finally,
that.
People Charlie are waiting Coyle. For this.
So right now, at least barring Kadri signing shortly, they at least have that option still out there of a legitimate 2C available out there at a market that's dwindling as we speak. So it's a good spot for the Bruins to be in, at least in terms of having another contingency plan in place.
And again, he fits in the lineup. Like, if you take out the money, I mean, that's just what you want, right? You kind of want a gritty, get to the dirty areas kind of player, plays on the edge. Like that's good. Like that's what they want. Cam Neely said it. Like that'd be a perfect guy for them in the short term. And we've said this all along. Like I remember Ty Anderson back before even free agency began, like a while back, saying like, Kadri should be someone the Bruins have on their radar. Like he's 100% right. Like he fits the lineup. It's just the money. And if they were to go for a guy like him, you'd have to get rid of, I would imagine, Mike Riley. You'd have to get rid of Nick Foligno. You'd have to find someone to take that contract. Because even if you buy him out, buying him out helps you with Krejci and Bergeron if that's the way they go. But if they went out for a guy like Kadri, you'd have to find someone to take that $3.8 million. And you'd probably have to do more. Nosek would have to go. And by the way, this is not like saying they can't go. It's just you have to find You have to find people to take.
Yeah, other teams have spent quite a bit already, right? So it's not as easy as, let's say, it's the start of July where teams had 15, 16 million in cap space. There's very few teams that have that flexibility now without taking contracts back, which the Bruins can't afford if they're trying to bring in a guy like Kadri.
Yeah, no. So that's the other thing is just the money. The money is a problem. That's why I think it's tough. By the way, it's been tough for these free agents that have, the past, free agents over 30 in the past couple of years, because so many free agents over 30, the book is out on them. Like, remember Lucic, the 2016 offseason where Lucic and Backes and those guys got those big free agent deals. And now everyone's like, probably shouldn't give all that money long-term to guys over 30. And that's been bad for guys like Torrey Krug and Nazem Kadri. And at least Krug got like a big deal somewhere. Kadri, I don't see getting like a 7-year deal anywhere, just given his age and production. So the Kadri stuff is interesting. So we hit on it a little bit in the Kadri section, but Connor, you lied to us. It didn't happen. When you were up in the air, nothing took place. It was, this is ridiculous. Explain yourself.
I did my best, Evan. I don't control the sands of time that can influence whether or not a guy signs or not. But I thought I did my part to generate some headlines. Unfortunately, it did not come to pass. It actually worked out very well because I was certain that I was going to be like on Bourbon Street and I was going to get that little like Twitter notification and it was going to be like a big all caps, like signed, sealed, delivered, or like the captain's back. And I would have just been like, it's like that meme of Ben Affleck where he's taking the cigarette.
Yeah.
He's like looking up. That would have been me. As someone who has like throwing beads on me. So like that I'm glad that did not happen. But yes, it actually worked out timing wise well that I went on vacation the same time as apparently all the Bruins did. So I'm actually very thankful for that. So different places, New Orleans and Lake Como, but both seem like we had great times. But yes, as of right now, still in a holding pattern in terms of Bergeron and Krejci's contracts.
Yes, the shoe is yet to drop on both of those guys. And it's funny. I mean, we're getting down to less than 2 months to training camp, and these guys aren't signed yet. And this felt like something. I mean, we all thought this was going to be day one of free agency. Like we thought 12 p.m. like tweets coming down. Like I was talking to development camp. I was talking to someone down by the ice around like 11:50, and I was like, all right, like I'll catch you later, but I gotta go because I think something's about to happen. And we're still waiting.
Yeah.
I could still be talking to that person. I mean, geez.
I'm still waiting, Evan.
It's still waiting. But I just I did a video for Bruins Ringside on YouTube of, detailing what would life be like if both of them just don't re-sign. And the future is bleak in that situation. Scared some people. I think I might have struck some fear in some people. But I think we think this is going to happen, it feels like. But like, I'm surprised we haven't seen more about them, or at least rumors about them shedding salary.
Yeah. I think that's probably the bigger concern is just you're not seeing kind of the first steps or the dominoes to fall before those contracts get signed, which is kind of what we talked about before in terms of possible delays, whether it be the Bruins wanting to move out some cap space just so they don't, go into training camp at 84, 85 million, what have you. And then you have to, pressures on you. You have no leverage to shed that cap space. So there's that, which I think is kind of puzzling in terms of the fact they haven't made a move yet, because again, you don't want to be in November and Charlie McAvoy and Brad Marchand are back, and all right, you have to move a guy like Mike Riley, for example, and you have to move him for a fifth round pick because the team knows that you have no leverage there because you have to get under that 82.5 million cap ceiling. So there's that. There's also the fact that I think the Bruins are still probably talking about the bonus incentives and all those things that probably take a while to sort through. I have to imagine they're not going to be very hard to obtain those bonuses. Usually they're, for these veteran players, they're like something comical, like 10 games played or what have you. But so there's a little bit more process of that in terms of, striking that medium between making sure these guys get compensated what they're worth as established players, but also making sure you're not taking a big cap hit this year, while also not, let's say, pushing 6-7 million in a dead cap hit into next season as well. So there's that balancing act. And also I feel like at this point I've hit like a level of like, contemplation, or I'm at peace with the fact that I feel like right now the Bruins are like, all right, like we're going to get it done. Like go on vacation. Like we'll circle back. We'll, cross the T's, dot the I's and all that stuff. I feel like at this point, unless something has just gone catastrophically wrong, like based on like all we've seen, reading the tea leaves of Sweeney talking about it, of Neely talking about it, of all the whispers you hear, the fact that they've gone this long, the fact that other than Kadri, there's really no one else out there. Teams have already spent all across the league to the pretty much close to the max in a lot of other markets. It seems like it's just, waiting for them to kind of finally cross that finish line. And if anything goes wrong, it means there was some heinous breakdown, like at the very last stretch where like the Bruins circle back, like, hey, we have to pay you in Dogecoin, David Krejci. Like, is that okay? Like, unless something goes drastically wrong at the last second, I have to imagine it's just kind of a formality at this point of, all right, enjoy the summer, have a few weeks off, and then circle back in a week or so, and we'll get this deal done.
We're going to pay you in Hub on Causeway gift cards.
Yes.
Is that okay, David?
And Guy Fieri, and gift cards to Guy Fieri's Tequila Cocina.
Yes.
Unlimited trash can nachos.
Yes. And you can have whatever tickets you'd like to Big Night Live. Any,
yes.
You like, Diplo's coming.
It would be
coming?
like,
you love them.
It would be like, no, they would be like, we couldn't get it. We have Blue Man Group. You can see the Blue Man Group 3 times a week. It's like, all right, I don't want to see them once. Like I'm all set.
You and your family have free tickets to whatever Disney on Ice showing you want to go to this year. So maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much, but I think as time goes along, people go up. This bad thing is coming. But, you never know. Another thing people are waiting on is David Pastrnak when that gets, because we both said, like, what if this is training camp and that's not done yet? And it's like, oh, I mean, the fact that this isn't even done yet. And then you also have Pavel Zacha, which is why on the video I mentioned they had about like 2 million in cap space roughly. They have 4.7, but with Zacha, he's clearing some of that. He's on the team. So I don't even really count the 4.7. It's more like 2 million, given what he's going to end up making. His is scheduled for August 11th, his arbitration hearing. I think everybody wants to hear you say arbitration. But Pavel Zacha, we've discussed what we think he'll make, but you're seeing like with Jesper Bratt in New Jersey, just like team and player being so way off. You hope that in this case, Zacha says, yeah, I'll take like 3.4 million over like 2 or 3 years. That works for me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, if it's anything like 3.5, 3.75, I could see that as being a minor bump in terms of his payout. I think it was 3 million was his previous salary cap.
Yeah.
So anything like that makes total sense for a guy who, again, he's not a maybe top 6 caliber player in terms of his offensive game, but his two-way skill has been established. His points did go up last year, so marginal increase. Now, if we get to the point in there, arbitration where they announce the totals in terms of the two parties, whether it's the Bruins counter at 3.5 and his is like 4.75, then we got a problem. Like the Brat one was like, the Brat one was like, oh, like they were like, I think 2.75 off, I think, in terms of what the
it was almost 3.
Yeah, so you hope that's not the case, that the Bruins traded for this guy. They kind of mapped out what they want from him, long-term plan. You have to imagine he would probably be happy with that slight increase, but we'll see what happens. Sometimes these arbitration cases can be kind of tough in terms of mapping out what exactly the end result there, who's going to rule in what favor, all that stuff. Ideally, the best thing is it just doesn't go to arbitration and they hammer out a deal before then, which is very, very well could be the case as well.
Yeah, arbitration's terrible in every sport. You never want guys get into arbitration at all. Zach is an interesting case because he also likes it here. He likes it here. He stays here in the off season. Like this, he likes Boston. He trains here, everything. Loves it. So would he be willing to take a little less than what he might get with a team like Ottawa or Arizona? I would think, I would hope, just given that he likes it here. But you never know. Guys want to get paid, and who can blame him? Anyways, Connor, what can people look forward to from you over at Boston Sports Journal?
Yeah, we're going to keep you updated, Evan, throughout this offseason in terms of any of the latest news, whether it's guys still in the free agent market, obviously Bergeron and Krejci. We did our ranking of our top 20 Bruins prospects last week. We'll probably do a few more in-depth stories on some of these prospects, more kind of odds and ends from development camp, all that good stuff over at BSJ. So please subscribe at bostonsportsjournal.com. Want to follow me on Twitter? You can do that at ConnorRyan_93.
Go do all that. And remember to subscribe to Bruins Rinkside on YouTube. I'm Evan Marinovsky, Bruins Beat listeners. Have a great rest of your week.